So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is Legal Ego. Hold on, I said that wrong. Legal Eagle discussing the Trump conspiracy indictment in D.C. is bad.
Donald Trump has been criminally indicted for interfering with the 2020 presidential election. He's alleged to have participated in a vast conspiracy to interfere with the election and hold on to power. Yes, a federal grand jury impaneled in Washington, D.C. has indicted Donald J. Trump on 4 felony counts as part of Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation.
Four. So what's the Trump counter up to? Like, what's the Trump indictment counter up to? Because I know he's got what? Like, he's got 7 in Florida. He's got, I think, another 2 or somewhere between 2 and 5 in Georgia, and then now he's got 4 in DC. That's damn. He's racking them up, huh?
Investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. As
Everybody wants a piece.
In his press conference
today, an indictment was unsealed.
Jesus.
Charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice.
And like, let it be noted, right? Like, if you're sitting at home and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, that's bullshit. The government's just trying to get him." You're right about one thing. The government is trying to get him, but you're definitely wrong about it being bullshit. Okay? And let me tell you why. Never does the U.S. government, all right, file an indictment, reveal this shit, make it so publicly known, and do all that shit. And by the way, this isn't just U.S. government, right? This has been like, these are state and federal fucking forces, all right, law enforcement or whatever the fuck you want to call them, right? Judicial systems. It's both of them. It's both states and the actual federal government all going down and clamping down on Donald Trump. Now, understand that governments, whether it's a state, local, or federal, they don't want to get shit in their face. You get what I'm saying? They don't want to fucking take a bad stance. All right? And they definitely don't want to be wrong. Especially when they're literally paid by every single person who lives in their state or instead in their country. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, understand that it takes a lot for them to be able to say, all right, we're going to go public with this. All right, we're ready to drop we're ready to not to drop, but like we're ready to lay out these charges for individuals to listen. The amount of effort that they go through, like what I'm trying to say is that they do their homework. They do their homework way before they do something like this, because if not, the embarrassment is just way too much and you could literally lose your position in office. Like, people will make sure that you're not there next year, even if your position isn't one that you're elected into. You get what I'm saying? So this is a very dangerous like thread to tread on type shit. So they do their homework way before they ever launch this shit. So I'm not saying that they're going to go to court and Trump's automatically going to lose. I'm not going to say that, because the law is a very, very intricate fucking pile of webs. But what I definitely will say is that this is not looking pretty, especially when you have so many different states coming after you.
So if you're counting, that makes 3 indictments and 78 criminal counts in 2 states and the District of Columbia. Donald Trump is the first president in U.S. history to try to interrupt the peaceful transfer of power to his successor.
Which is a big fucking deal if you think about it, because this nation is, the reason America is so great is because we get to shuffle our leaders around, because whenever we want, we can say, no, fuck that guy, put somebody else in. You get what I'm saying? That is an important part of American history and American politics and the way of life here in America is, if you don't like it, you can change it. But when someone decides that, no, I don't feel like it, then it's just like, well, then we don't feel like you, bro. So fuck off.
And the first Home Alone 2 actor to be indicted 3 separate times.
Down the hall and to the left.
So how close did the conspirators come to succeeding, and how serious did they think it would be for Trump to refuse to leave? Well, according to the indictment, when a deputy White House counsel told one of Trump's co-conspirators, Jeffrey Clark, that there would be mass protests if Trump remained president despite no findings of voter fraud, Clark said, quote, "That's why we have an Insurrection Act."
Whoa. Wait, there's no option you leave in which you do not leave the White House on January 20th. Now, same reiterated to co-conspirator 4 that there had not been outcome determinative fraud in the election. So like when all these statements got made that the election was stolen, understand the government itself, okay? Like Uncle Sam itself fucking went in and investigated these fucking what are they called? It starts with a D, bro. Oh my god, it's like fuck, I could have sworn it's like a word I learned from like WoW or something. Whatever, bro. Whatever the name of the company is that was supplying the machines for our elections. Dominion. There you go. Dominion. When they went after Dominion, they searched them up. They looked through their shit. They did audits and all that stuff, and they were like, "No, everything looks good here." And that's why then Dominion was capable of suing for fucking, what is it, slander or whatever the case is, essentially saying like, "Yo, you literally dwindled people's faith in our technology because you were spouting nonsense. So you know what? We're suing you for fucking damages because now our reputation is ruined because you're spouting bullshit." And I think, by the way, it's great. It's great that all of those things happened because you know what's going to end up happening is that once Trump goes to jail, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're still going to have like the fucking outskirts of dickheads who are going to be like, "No, election was still stolen." Like, listen, my dad thinks the fucking election was stolen, right? I'm not even trying to fucking shield anything here, right? It happened, bro. They tricked people into believing this shit. Right, and there's people out there who believe in mass conspiracies and like walk around like it's fucking normal. Who you tell them, "Yeah, I think the election was stolen," but like, "Of course it was," and you're like, "Holy shit, you too?" It's crazy. It's fucking crazy how many people are just so fucking. What is this shit? They've been so warped by the propaganda, right? That now it's like they create their own. Right? They create their own propaganda, and now it's like they're just brainwashing themselves. So, with all that being said, bro, what fucking fraud? There's too many moving parts, too many individuals along the chain for all that shit to have happened, and not to mention that the government went and investigated these fucking people, which then gave them the right to sue. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a big deal.
Now, there was wild speculation about what this indictment would actually look like, and here, what the Department of Justice did is very interesting.
Okay.
Instead of breaking things up piecemeal, they allege that all the efforts to change or subvert the election are part of one general conspiracy that aimed to reverse the election. And while the indictment mentions the Capitol riots and Trump's speech from that day, none of the alleged crimes rely on the riots or that speech. The indictment doesn't charge Trump for inciting the January 6th riots. That would have been extremely hard to prove for reasons that we've discussed on this channel a lot, namely that the standard is very high and it would be very close to charging someone for potentially political speech.
So, like, mind you, like that's what everyone thought they were gonna do. That's what everyone thinks they're gonna do. Like, oh, they're gonna go after him on this because he gave the speech and well, that shit's gonna crumble. No, motherfucker. Like, you don't think they know that? You don't think we have some of the best lawyers in the country that work for the government? Like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like, the best lawyers kind of work for Disney, but everybody else, you know what I'm saying, the guy who didn't get the job at Disney and all the other fucking 50 of them that applied, guess who they work for? The fucking, state attorneys and all this bullshit. That's who they are, bro.
But here, the riots, according to the Department of Justice's narrative, were just another opportunity for the conspirators to delay or overturn the election. For example, during the riots, the conspirators were texting and calling senators to try to get them to delay certification and to pressure Mike Pence. So the riots were not an end in themselves, but a means to further the conspiracy. And this is a much cleaner way of conceptualizing the crimes, from the DOJ's perspective, than other ways that they could have drafted this indictment. Instead of lots of small towers with limited foundations, they constructed one giant tower with a huge base. Or more specifically, 3 large conspiracies sort of operating in parallel at the same time with generally the same aim. The first conspiracy was to overturn the legitimate results of the 2020 presidential election by using knowingly false claims of election fraud to prevent the actual slates of electors being collected, counted, and certified. The second conspiracy was to corruptly obstruct and impede an official proceeding, that is the actual certification of the electoral vote. And then the third conspiracy was to effectively hamper the right of some people to exercise their right to vote.
All right. I think honestly, well, I mean, obviously he did these 3 things. Like, and I mean, I don't need to know the fucking legal fucking lingo in order to fucking be, to be able to, like, I saw this shit happen. You understand? Like, we saw this shit happen on live, like on the news. Like we saw how like it just all unfolded like right before our eyes. And I'll tell you right now, I was teaching and I remember it was like my lunch break or some shit, or maybe I had like my planning period or something. So I put it up on my phone or on the screen. I don't remember the fuck I watched the shit. It's probably on my phone. And you're literally watching him talk. You see people go crazy, and then all of a sudden you start to see the people move in mass, and then they move and then all of a sudden they're in front of the Capitol, and you're like, holy shit, they're in front of the Capitol? Are you serious? And then all of a sudden you see like they're pushing through, and all of a sudden they're climbing scaffolds, and they're doing this, and then all of a sudden you see that they're breaking in. It's fucking insane, breaking into the fucking Capitol, right? So that absolutely blew my fucking mind, right? So all that shit being said, disrupting the one that I'm really fucked up about is the third one, right? It's the third one, disrupting the right to vote, because this has been the ugliest fucking, not just transition of power, but ugliest election I've seen in a long time. In the way that not only did Russia help create propaganda, which was, which they haven't proven, but has been a big, investigation going on as far as, Trump asking Russia for help, right? To like either spy on Joe or to spy on Hillary or to do this and this and that. And then the campaigns that they ran on Facebook to convince people that, Hillary was this monster and that Trump should be president. All that shit, that's disrupting voting. That's not, I get it. Like, people run smear campaigns all the time, but I guess it comes to a certain point where we have to ask ourselves, like, is it really okay to do that? Like, should we keep allowing this shit to happen? Like, should political enemies be able to talk about their political enemies? You know what I'm saying? Or also, it's not always like the people who are running. Sometimes it's the people who fund their campaigns who are the ones who are trying to throw the other person under the bus. So at a certain point, you can't really stop that because it's kind of freedom of expression. But it really makes you wonder, like, if it got this bad this time, how bad could it potentially get in the future? And then also, as far as that number 3 again, now taking it away from 2016 and moving it up to 2020, well, the issue is that now you were literally trying to say that everybody else who voted, everybody else who had their say in the matter, now you're saying their say doesn't count. Now you're saying that them going out to, so it's funny because you convinced your entire voting base that voting, that, the voting is a fraud and this and that. And you convinced plenty of people that showing up to the fucking ballot box doesn't even make a difference because, the machines are fucking hacked anyways. They're going to just pick whoever the fuck they want. But what you're doing is that you're sowing doubt into other people's minds who would normally have shown up on election day and normally would cast their votes like everybody else. You're sowing doubt in these individuals, and the problem with that is that, bro, people already, like, there's already enough people who think that voting doesn't make a difference. There's already enough people. For you to add to that number just means it's just very undemocratic. And it's like it goes against everything that we've, like, this fucking republic is built on, bro. It's like the idea that each individual gets the voice, and the more you hamper down on that, the more power you're taking away from individuals, and the more sheep you create. Which, it's fine if you just want to rule over people, but it's not fine for, like, the quality of life for everybody in question. So, like, there's a lot of bullshit with this that, honestly, like, I could tell you boils my fucking blood. But overall, like, apart from all these other things of him being a fucking sore loser crybaby, the worst is the fact that he has convinced people that voting doesn't make a difference. He's convinced more people than who are already convinced that voting didn't make a difference. And I think that's fucked. I think that's fucked because you could destroy a system. And I'm not saying our system's the best, but god damn it, dude, we got a pretty good fucking system, and I'm pretty sure my opinion fucking counts. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's not ruin the little good we got.
effectively trying to discount or prevent the votes being counted in states where Biden won, where the conspirators were putting forth a fake slate of electors. Now, a quick word about conspiracy and free speech. Many are bemoaning the indictment as the criminalization of political speech, but that seems to be based on a misunderstanding of how criminal conspiracies actually work. Consider this great commentary from NYU law professor Noah Rosenblum. The First Amendment protects the right to free speech, but does that mean that you can say whatever you want without facing criminal liability? Not at all. Consider the following two scenarios. I walk into a store and buy a crowbar. No crime, life is good. 2, I call my buddy and say, let's go buy crowbars and use them to deprive people of their right to vote. He says, I agree. Let's conspire to do this thing together. I walk into the store and buy a crowbar. Bad news, crime, life is bad. The only difference between these two acts is the fact of agreement, which is expressed in speech, although it needn't be. The crime is conspiracy, agreement to commit a crime plus a step towards its accomplishment.
That is very, okay. Understand, that's the catch right there. That's got you. You know what I'm saying? It's not just one part. It's the other part where you say, hey, you down? Because I want to do this thing. You want to do this thing? Yeah. Agreement. And then let's go do something about it.
It's not the speech that's criminal. It's what the speech does. Constitute an element of another crime. Here, Trump is charged with conspiracy, but the lies he made about the election are part of showing his knowing fraud an element of the crime. Don't worry, you can still lie in politics as much as you want, just don't do it as an element of another crime, like, say, participating in a conspiracy to defraud people of their right to vote.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. The only thing that I would add is a few other scenarios. The third scenario, a person says to themselves, I'm going to go out and buy a crowbar to deprive people of the right to vote, and then I go out and buy a crowbar. Still not a crime because there's no conspiracy, i.e. an agreement with another person. Now that's important because in conspiracies, if you have an agreement, all you need is one overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. And in the absence of a conspiracy, the act of buying a crowbar probably isn't enough to rise to the level of attempted interference. Because to attempt a crime by yourself usually requires conduct that constitutes a substantial step towards completing that crime.
Okay, so understand that, like, yeah, so what he's saying pretty much is that conspiracies don't, like, you can't just do it on your own. You can't just say, oh man, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna run over these protesters. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get a car and I'm gonna run over these protesters, you know? Or let's even put it in perspective. I'm gonna buy a gun, right? Like, hypothetical individuals. This is a hypothetical. I'm not doing this. Gxxsei ain't killing nobody, all right? Calm down. But in this hypothetical situation, imagine I say something along the lines of, oh, I'm gonna get a gun. And then I say, oh, I'm gonna get a gun so I can kill all of these what are they fucking, you know, trumpeteers, right? And then that within itself is not conspiracy, right? In fact, if I buy the gun and then I go kill these people, that is also not conspiracy. But if me, Gxxsei, teams up with the homie, I say, yo, homie, let's go do this, Johnny. And Johnny's like, yeah, for sure, Gxxsei, let's go get these motherfuckers. And boom, we agree on that's conspiracy starting. But then this part right here, substantial step towards that. So it means you need to do something in that direction that isn't just getting the fuck outside your house. It's actually going purchasing the weapon, maybe purchasing fucking other art, you know, like fucking body armor and shit like that. Maybe you add fucking tweaks to the car so, you know, you can run over more people, whatever the fuck it is. And then you start heading out. Substantial steps. It goes beyond mere preparation. Okay, you see, look at that. Preparation. So even buying the gun and even rigging out the car for rioters isn't enough, right? You have to go beyond that. Okay? So that's a big deal. It essentially is saying that like they don't take pussies. You get what I'm saying? This isn't for pussies. This isn't for people who half-ass shit. This is for people who full-ass shit. You get what I'm saying? So that's a substantial step part. So, like, understand that all these fucking charges being brought up is because they discovered or believe they have substantial evidence that shows this motherfucker went through extraordinary lengths to get this shit to go the way it did.
And then there's the fourth scenario. A person says to themselves, I'm going to buy a crowbar to deprive people of the right to vote, buys the crowbar, and then actually starts hitting people waiting in line to vote. Now, still there's no conspiracy, but now you've taken a substantial step towards the crime and likely completed the crime, and you're guilty of that initial crime. So in the conspiracy context, and actually in many different legal contexts, speech will be relevant evidence. Was a conspiracy formed? What was the aim of that conspiracy? Did individual members have the requisite intent of the underlying crime? Was an overt action in furtherance of the conspiracy taken? Did the defendant say factually false things to induce others to act? But here, it's not the speech that's punished, it's the conspiracy. So with that in mind, that takes us to the indictment itself. The indictment starts by correctly noting that Trump had a right to speak about the election, quote, and even to claim falsely that there had been outcome determinative fraud during the election and that he had won. He was also entitled to challenge the results through lawful means, such as, quote, seeking recounts or audits of the popular vote in states or filing lawsuits.
Which, by the way, each of those lawsuits had to get handled, right, in court, right? Each of those lawsuits had to get handled in court. It essentially means that attorneys, people who, the fucking person who types the fucking thing out, what everyone's saying, I don't remember the name, the judge themselves, the fucking building, right? Like, that, all of that is manpower, right? Because they have to deal with the lawsuits and they have to sort through and they need time to look through the books and say, well, no, this is the case, or no, that's the case, and blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. That all took time. That all took manpower. In other words, that shit costed tax money. You understand? Tax money. The money that you don't even want to give up in the first place because of how misused it might be or misbudgeted or whatever the fuck you think, okay? That got used to deal with this motherfucker, like, trying to talk shit and trying to, like, and not just that, then it's the recount part, which, don't get me wrong, there's some volunteers in those areas, right? There's some people who volunteer during elections to help out because they want to be a part of the process. Cool. No problem. Is what it is. That's how people, that's how some people get their start in politics. The problem is that issuing all these recounts, you don't just have a full fucking team of volunteers. You have people who are fucking officials. You get what I'm saying? Who are, clerks of county and things like that, who then have to fucking do their job all over again, right? And guess what? Guess how they get paid? Oh shit, with fucking tax dollars. So it's bullshit because all the while these people are huffing and fucking puffing like a bunch of pussies. This guy's laying a bunch of fucking false claims, and then it just ends up, oh shit, we foot the fucking bill. We're the ones who have to pay for this guy being a fucking dickhead. And I don't think anybody fucking realize, I don't think most people realize that we are footing the bill for Trump's bullshit. And that just isn't fucking fair. There shouldn't be individuals who are allowed to fucking go left and right and do whatever the fuck they want. And at the end of the day, we have to pay for their fucking bullshit. That's just not fair. That's just not fair. Motherfuckers like this deserve to go to fucking Guantanamo, bro. Like, that's it. Send his ass out.
Challenging ballots and procedures. And as the indictment notes, Trump pursued these methods, but they were uniformly unsuccessful. However, Trump did not have a right to dispute the election through, quote, unlawful.
How is there not a charge of wasting? How is there not a charge of, like, wasting taxpayers' money? Like that should be its own fucking thing. Like, if he gets, once all this shit gets proven in court and this motherfucker gets the book thrown at his ass, I feel like there should be, like, an extra charge of, like, oh, by the way, and by the way, wait, the only way to pay for this charge is with actual money. And if you have the money, they automatically take it for you. That's the way it should be. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. Well, you wasted the government's time and money, and therefore the taxpayers' time and money, and therefore you got to pay the bill now so that we can use that tax money for, like, the fucking day-to-day crimes that are happening in the street. I think that shit's fair. Bro. Imagine coming on my stream while I'm doing my Reax and talking to me about RuneScape. I'm going to get on it, bro. I'm going to get to it, legend. Gosh. Always judging me. Ugh, I feel so judged. On a real though, I do want to check it out. Are there prereqs for necromancy? That was one thing I was kind of worried about, was getting on. I think I was planning on doing that later today. Getting on and working out necromancy and just seeing how it plays through and shit, and seeing if there's any prereqs I gotta get through, getting those done. Maybe turning into like a little mini video. Shut up, don't judge. Don't say anything about videos. All right, anyways, let's get back to it.
Means of discounting legitimate votes and subverting the election results. The indictment says that Trump perpetrated 3 criminal conspiracies to stay in office.
All right.
And we start with 18 U.S.C. 371. That section criminalizes the use of deceptive practices in connection with any conspiracy for the purpose of impairing, obstructing, or defeating the lawful function of any department of government. Trump is charged with conspiring to stop Congress from certifying the election by submitting fake electoral slates. And there are two prongs to Section 371 cases. The offense prong prohibits conspiracies to commit acts that are otherwise defined as criminal under federal law. And the defraud prong prohibits conspiracies to obstruct a lawful function of the government by deceitful means. And the government must prove that the defendant entered into a conspiracy with the specific intent to defraud the United States, that the conspirators used deceitful or dishonest means, and that one of the members of the conspiracy performed at least one overt act for the purpose of carrying out the conspiracy. For the government to prove that Trump committed the crime, it must show that he used deceit, craft, or trickery, or dishonest means to achieve it.
I mean, listen, bro, I'm not behind the scenes, right? I'm not the guy with the fucking recordings or the photographs or anything like that. I'm just the guy who's been observing this shit on the news or on the internet like everybody else. And I can tell you, bro, don't really seem like this is an honest man you're working with. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure like dishonest is like a fucking like definitely a characteristic trait of Senor Trump.
Section 371 does not criminalize every conspiracy to disrupt a government function. It only reaches conspiracies that use deceit, craft, or trickery, or dishonest means. And we'll talk about Trump's defenses later, but he's probably going to claim that he didn't use deceit if he truly believed that he won the election. But the indictment concludes that Trump knew he lost, and the indictment lists all the people who told Trump that he lost, including the vice president, leaders of the DOJ who were appointed by Trump, the director of national intelligence, the director of the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, senior White House officials, campaign staffers, Republican state legislators and officials, and dozens of state and federal court.
You get what I'm saying? So like, even if in your heart of hearts you believe that you won, like everybody else is telling you, nah, bro, you didn't. And then they looked over the votes and they recounted them, right? Wasted more taxpayers' money. And you know what they said? They said, no, you didn't. And here we are.
And the indictment alleges that Trump privately acknowledged his loss. After the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff urged Trump not to take action on a national security issue, Trump agreed, saying, quote, "Yeah, you're right, it's too late for us. We're going to give that to the next guy." Yet publicly, Trump repeatedly tweeted and encouraged his supporters to come to Washington on January 6th to stop the vote. And allegedly, in another conversation on January 1st, 2021, Mike Pence told Trump that he didn't think that there was a constitutional basis for Trump's claims that the vice president lacked the authority to change the results of the election. And quote, in response, the defendant told Vice President, "You're too honest." Now, this strongly implies that Trump knew he had lost and...
I'm trying to think of a scenario where being too honest is something people don't want. And the only thing that comes to mind is like... The only thing that comes to mind is something like... Fuck, man, I don't know. Like literally someone who wants to be lied to. Like you know how like sometimes people are like super conscious about how they look and stuff like that. So they ask you for your opinion, but what they really want is for you to tell them they look good. That's like one of the few times where people like where like people don't want you to be too honest. You get what I'm saying? People don't want you to point out all their flaws. Anytime someone doesn't want you to be honest is because they want to continue their lie. They're living with an idea of reality in their head that is different from the shared reality we all actually live in, and that fucking divide is what makes the individual think to themselves, no, I want this. It's like a fucking kid, right, who wants to eat fucking chips for fucking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or wants to eat fucking chips for like fucking Takis for breakfast, wants to fucking eat like, I don't know, more Takis for lunch, and then wants to have cereal for dinner. Like, I get it. That's what you want. But kid, you're going to fucking die. Like, it's not good for you. You understand? Like, it's not sustainable. And the thing is like individuals who can't bear the truth or make claims as if like, oh, like that's too honest. They're literally depriving themselves of existing in reality. And like, just because they want to put themselves in that space doesn't mean that the rest of us have to fucking play ball with them, right? 1 second, folks. Good morning, mamas. I love you, mamas. You sleep good? You sleep good? Yeah, let's go. No? unmuted or mute? Unmuted? Got you. All right. Let's get back to it.
Was asking Pence to lie. And there are other examples. Apparently he referred to some of Sidney Powell's theories as crazy. And even Rudy Giuliani said, quote, we don't have the evidence, but we have lots of theories. But despite this, it is alleged that Trump knowingly continued to make false claims about the election and further took actions to subvert the election. And the indictment notes that they might have tricked other people into action. For example, the fraudulent electors were, quote, tricked into participating based on the understanding that their votes would be used only if the defendant succeeded in outcome determinative lawsuits within their state, which the defendant never did. The defendant and co-conspirators then caused these fraudulent electors to transmit their false certificates to the vice president and other government officials to be counted at the certification proceedings on January 6, 2020.
Yep. Yep. Oh man. That's yeah. I mean that's it. That's all there is to it. It doesn't get more complicated than this. You understand? It doesn't get more complicated than this. It's just like, it's funny because when people look at how the government works and they get all fucking like, oh shit, the big brother, they fail to understand that it's like, bro, it's not even, in fact, the law isn't even that complicated. You get what I'm saying? And the law is pretty fucking, don't get me wrong. There's certain laws that need to get changed. There's certain laws that, you know, people need to vote for and need to make a difference about, right? Certain laws do need to change. But one thing that remains is that at the end of the day, right? Like they're still doing something wrong. And I think this like there isn't such a gray line. It's not such a gray area when it comes to what's right and wrong, okay? The only time there's gray areas and loopholes in laws is when people are trying to do something wrong and get away with it while it's still not necessarily covered. Okay? Understand that. Everybody else who functions like a normal fucking citizen and like, you know, is about their P's and Q's and like kind of sticks to their shit. Bro, like you don't live in constant terror of breaking a law. Unless you're breaking a law. You understand? Like I don't go around in the streets and like fucking drive around and go do this and go do whatever. And I'm not scared of what's going on. Don't get me wrong, bro. I'm absolutely terrified of being pulled over by a cop. Why? Because you know how these motherfuckers act, and I'm not the prettiest motherfucker, you know, out there. So it's one of those things where like I'd rather not have to deal with the police officer than have to deal with the police officer. But I guarantee you, I don't know all my rights, but I know most of them. So when these motherfuckers do pull up on me, I'll be like, what do you want? I didn't do that. Where's the proof? All right, bye. You get what I'm saying? Like there's certain parts where, yeah, but still, like you never know when you get that one cop that tells you to step out the vehicle and slams your ass on the fucking hood. That shit's fucking scary, right? But I'm not living my life scared that I'm breaking laws, right? I'm living my life, if anything, scared that someone else is going to abuse their rights. Or abuse whatever privileges have been given to them by whatever fucking position they hold to go ahead and rain on my parade. You understand? These are two different things. I don't live in fear of the law. I live in fear of people who misuse it. Right? And so like most people don't even need to be worried about this kind of shit. But the people who are worried about it are the people who are doing fucked up shit to begin with.
Now, some legal commentators claim that the government needs to prove that the defendant intended to swindle money or other tangible objects from the victim in order to be charged under Section 371. But that's only true if Trump was charged with a fraud crime like wire fraud.
I got you, Mama. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had a feeling. I love you. All right. Let's hold on, let's take a step back real quick.
Under Section 371. But that's only true if Trump was charged with a fraud crime like wire fraud. But here, he wasn't. The prosecutor doesn't need to prove that the conspiracy actually led to any property or monetary loss by the U.S. government or its agencies. The Department of Justice's Criminal Resource Manual cites a 1924 case, Hammerschmidt versus United States, for this proposition. And in that case, Justice Taft wrote, quote, "It is not necessary that the government shall be subjected to property or pecuniary loss by the fraud, but only that its legitimate official action and purpose shall be defeated by misrepresentation, chicane, or overreaching of those charged with carrying out the governmental
intention. Yeah. So I mean, and here's the best part about this, right? Just moments ago, right, I was explaining to you guys how all this bullshit that he was talking and all this, you know what I'm saying, fucking lawsuits against different states, fucking having to like forcing like having other states do recounts and shit like that. Bro, like, it is not necessary that the government shall be subjected to property or pecuniary loss by the fraud. In other words, money, right? Like, it doesn't matter if shit got damaged or if they had to spend money, which, by the way, let's not forget, and this is what I'm trying to say here, that shit did happen, okay? Governments at both state and federal level has spent too much fucking money on this shit because it shouldn't have even happened in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this shit should not have gone through. But you know what? There's a process, and he jumped through every fucking loop and hoop to make sure he got there. And in other words, he spent our fucking money. Like, it's not just the bullshit he committed, is that the bullshit is costing us money. That's fucking crazy. For a fucking country that's like in over $31 trillion of debt. Like, we need, like, as if we needed to spend that extra couple thousand or extra million or two or four to fucking do all this shit. Like, come on, bro. Like, we're already in the shitter as it is. Like, we don't need anything else perpetuating the fucking amount of money we owe ourselves or the rest of the world.
Intention. And several more recent cases have affirmed that the word defraud in Section 371, quote, not only reaches financial or property loss through the use of a scheme or artifice to defraud, but also is designed and intended to protect the integrity of the United States and its agencies, programs, and policies. Now, the second criminal charge relates to subsection 1512K, which makes conspiracy to violate Section 1512 a separate offense subject to the same penalties as the underlying offense. And a 1512K charge has no specific overt act element, and the courts have generally declined to imply one under such circumstances. Now, regardless of which section is invoked, conspirators are criminally liable for any crime committed in the foreseeable furtherance of the conspiracy. The indictment says that Trump, quote, did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with co-conspirators, known and unknown to the grand jury, to corruptly obstruct and impede an official proceeding, that is, the certification
and that happened.
Vote. Now, there are many examples of Trump and his co-conspirators trying to stop the certification process, and their actions on January 6th are notable, as the indictment accuses the conspirators of exploiting the violence at the Capitol in furtherance of their plot. After the rioters had been removed from the Capitol, Trump, through White House aides, attempted to reach 2 United States senators at 6 p.m. From 6:59 p.m. until 7:18 p.m., Rudy Giuliani placed calls to 5 United States senators and 1 United States representative. Co-conspirator 6 attempted to confirm phone numbers for 6 United States senators whom defendant had directed Giuliani to call, an attempt to enlist in further delaying the certification. Quote, in one of the calls, Giuliani left a voicemail intended for a United States senator that said, quote, we need you, our Republican friends, to try to just slow it down so we can get these legislatures to get more information to you, and know they're reconvening at 8 tonight, but the only strategy we can follow is to object to numerous states and raise issues so that we get ourselves into tomorrow, ideally until the end of tomorrow. Trump also called another senator, repeating false allegations of fraud in Arizona and Georgia. He also, quote, claimed that the vice president's actions had been surprising and asked the senator to, quote, object to every state and kind of spread this out a little bit like a filibuster. Shortly before the meeting to certify the election, White House counsel urged Trump to drop his objections and allow the meetings to proceed. Trump refused. The meeting of Congress was delayed for 6 hours, and when it resumed at 8 p.m., it certified Biden's election.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, I remember watching it. I remember the shit getting interrupted. I remember this and that. But like, think about it. If they needed more time, in order to, like, I don't know, like find like some kind of research thing that says, oh, maybe this and maybe that, you know, like when he got his lawyers to help defend him and shit. Like, you know, and sometimes they look for stuff, and sometimes they find like little technicalities, loopholes, right? But then again, like I said before, you're only looking for these things if you're doing something you probably shouldn't be doing to begin with. But whatever. Ignoring that, we're gonna go ahead and say that, like, all right, well, you needed time, right? You needed time to be able to get whatever it is you think might fucking change the game on this, right? Whatever piece of information, whatever piece of fucking old law and this and that, whatever. Well, you did it. You literally convinced people to storm in there like a bunch of dick faces, right? You convinced them that this was right. They went in there and they interrupted the fucking thing. They interrupted the fucking thing. And guess what? You got extra time to do that bullshit you needed to do. And mind you, it wasn't until the end of tomorrow, but fuck, you got till late at night.
As president. Now, it's actually not weird that Trump's co-conspirators were lawyers because, sadly, finding a great lawyer is hard to do. But if you need a really good lawyer, my firm, Eagle Team, can help. If you've been in a car crash, suffered a data breach, or have a Social Security disability issue, we can represent you or help find you the right attorney who can. Just click on the link that's in the description for a free consultation with my team. Because you don't just need a legal team, you need the Eagle Team. And the link is down below. And the third charge relates to 18 U.S.C. 1512C2. Trump was indicted for obstructing an official proceeding of Congress. Now, the initial media reports about the target letter were confusing because they reported that Trump was being charged with witness tampering. And that's because the short title of 18 U.S.C. 1512 is tampering with a witness, victim, or informant. But here, Trump wasn't charged with witness tampering per se. Section 1512 covers...
Man, hold on. My head is just on that GoPro. Listen, bro. If you have the what is it called? Discretionary income. If you have an extra bit of money laying around, bro, keeping a GoPro in your car is very. I think that shit is dope. Now, don't get me wrong. It'll probably fry out if you leave it in there. Might be speaking from personal experience. Might not. I don't know. But it is an electronic. You probably don't want to leave it in your car, especially if it gets too hot wherever the fuck you live or too cold. But that being said, bro, it's not that complicated. You know what I'm saying? Every time you go into the whip, turn it on, hit that fucking record button, and just drive to wherever the fuck you're going. Oh, you're done? Turn that bitch off. Take it with you. Put it back in the car. Oh, but Gxxsei, what about all the space? Well, guess what, motherfucker? If you done fucking, if you driven a whole week, right? Let's just say like you drive through traffic. I remember doing that shit. Let's say it was like 3 hours a day. 3 hours a day times 7 days is 21 hours. I don't know if you could fit 21 hours of footage on that bitch. I don't think you can. But fuck it. Even if you have to fucking do it daily, make it part of your fucking routine. You fucking, oh, you didn't crash yesterday? Nothing crazy happened? Fantastic. You grab that fucking GoPro, you fucking format that SD card, you put that bitch right back on there, and you just go again. And let me tell you, man, like the amount of times, I mean, maybe it's not really that many for me, but like, for example, there was one time I was on the highway, and this fucking car, it was raining ass. I don't know what the fuck this car did, but obviously it started to hydroplane, and literally like, I'm driving, it's fucking pouring rain, you can't see more than 20 meters out, and as I'm fucking driving through this shit, I fucking just hear, and I look to the right, and I literally see a car fucking spinning, goes up, boom, hits another car, stops spinning, and I was just like, oh, and I just turned around for it, like, please don't die, not today, Gxxsei, like, we don't need this, bro. If that car would have hit me, I would have loved to have had it on camera. You understand? Just to be like, not my fault. Pay my fucking bills. Thank you. My neck hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that shit's important. And by the way, figure out how to record that bitch without audio, or record it with audio. I don't know. My personal opinion, you might not want audio in there. That's just me though.
Covers other kinds of obstruction of justice. He was actually charged with violating Section C2 of the statute, which states, whoever corruptly obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. Now, Section 1512C was added to the code as part of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. And to convict Trump under this statute, the government has to prove that he attempted to obstruct an official proceeding and that he acted with corrupt intent. The first element is relatively simple for the government to prove. Many of the January 6th rioters,
the QAnon shaman,
were charged with violating 1512C.
Look, what's came out about this kid, right? Like, he served in the military and shit like that. I mean, here, I'll put it to you like this, bro. You literally sat on the fucking speaker's desk. You literally sat on the speaker's desk. Like you're like, I don't know, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. And you know what? Like, I see all these people just standing like on this thing, and I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? Like the lady on the far left, like, you know, that's someone's grandma, right? And then I see like a Hispanic dude, a couple black dudes, and it's just like, what are y'all doing up there? Like, do you not realize that half the people in that crowd don't even want you there? Like, you understand, right? Like, I don't think people recognize that, like, fucking Blue Lives Matter and all that other shit is like a direct, like, it's a direct punch to everybody, like of people of color. And I don't think they get it. They're literally standing up there like, yeah, we're part of you, white guy. And the white guy is looking at them like, yeah, whatever, we got groupies. Like, that's how they look at them. They look at them like fucking groupies. And you guys are like you're shameful. All right, you bring shame to all of us out here who are also fucking POC, who fucking, like, you know, look to each other to fucking hold one another up. Like, you literally bring shame to us, because it's like, first of all, you're a fucking idiot, right? I mean, and granted, you have the right to be a fucking idiot, but not only are you a fucking idiot, you're playing into this fucking white man's game. Right? And I don't really give a fuck what color you are, but it's fucking historical, right? Like, in this fucking country, the white man has been on top since the fucking beginning. So, like, when you do shit like this, it's like, bro, like, you're just serving masa. You understand? Like, that's all you're fucking doing.
These defendants argued that the January 6th meeting of Congress was not an official proceeding, but courts ruled against them because Section 15...
So fucking embarrassing, dog. It's so fucking embarrassing. It's like the level of shame I felt when my dad said, no, that election was bullshit. It got stolen. I was just like, fuck, man. Are you really that fucking stupid? Are you serious? Am I the only one in this goddamn house with a piece of fucking sense between my goddamn ears? Am I? Because it's fucking ridiculous, man. It's fucking it's not... I'm hot. Because you know what it is. The part that really fucking bugs me. I got the fan on, I got the AC on. It's fucking hot. I'm hot. That's it. They pushed me there. I'm fucking there right now. You understand? What pisses me the fuck off, right, is that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you grow up your entire life, and you look up to your parents, and you're like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they you know, they've been, you know what I'm saying? They built this. You know what I'm saying? Like they're good. You know what I'm saying? Like they work hard. You know what I'm saying? My dad helped build half of the fucking developments in this bitch. Not because my dad's a fucking developer, but because my dad's a fucking lower middle class motherfucker who fucking is literally driving himself closer and closer, inch to inch, to his fucking death one day, because he fucking operates heavy machinery. That motherfucker has had seizures. You understand? That nigga never had that. All right? My mother, right, serves the community, teaches the community, right, tries to educate young individuals, and I'm talking about all types. But let me tell you specifically, most of all, about 98% of them are people of fucking color. And then you got dickheads like fucking Trump and all these other fucking assholes and QAnon pieces of shit, who then fucking convince my fucking parents that there's bullshit going on, and literally pulling the veil of propaganda over their eyes. And me, as like the fucking, I don't know, first or second most educated in this goddamn family unit, I'm sitting here losing my fucking mind, because this is like, bro, you don't even read. You don't even spend the time to look into this shit. You don't. You don't, and there's so many people out there like that. So many fucking people out there who let themselves get fucking driven by these fucking idiots. And it's fucking painful. It's painful to watch, because you know what? My dad listens to the fucking radio about 8 hours a fucking day, and we probably have conversations for a lot less than that. So guess who he's gonna listen to? The fucking dickheads on the goddamn radio just trying to get him to feel something. And it's fucking nonsense, bro. It's fucking nonsense, and it hurts. It hurts that that's the day and age we live in, where individuals believe in bullshit and can't even fucking stop themselves long enough to educate themselves on any fucking topic. Like, it's fucking maddening, bro. And then you're sitting on that fucking stage with everybody else, with all the other white fucks who, if they had their fucking choice, would have us in fucking bondage. That's what you do. You're a fucking shame to your people, bro. Shut the fuck up and go somewhere.
15A1 defines official proceeding for purposes of Section 1512 to include a congressional proceeding. Now, the second element is whether Trump acted with corrupt intent. And some of the January 6 defendants challenge their indictments on the grounds that this element is unconstitutionally vague, since the word corruptly isn't defined by Section 1512C. But several circuit courts have already rejected this contention. The courts conclude that corruptly in 1512C includes two components: one, intent to obstruct, impede, or influence, and two, wrongfulness. And then count number 4 relates to the deprivation of rights under color of state law under 18 U.S.C. 241. Now, under that section, a government official can't deprive someone of their rights. And the statute dates from the Reconstruction era, but it doesn't require that the defendant's conduct be motivated by a specific bias against the victim, such as race, gender, or discrimination. But Section 241 makes it unlawful for 2 or more persons to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having...
What is it? 2 or more conspire to blah, 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 in any blah, 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 or in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege. Okay. Okay. Okay, so long as... Okay, so you can exercise any of your rights or privileges, that's fine. But in that process, if while you're exercising those freedoms of yours, you happen to do any of these other things, like, I don't know, conspire to injure someone, oppress them, threaten them, intimidate them, anywhere, well, then guess what? Now you're going above and beyond, and this is conspiracy against rights.
So exercise the same. And here the idea is that the conspirators conspired to prevent people from being able to exercise their right to vote. The offense is always a felony, even if the underlying conduct would not on its own establish a felony violation of another criminal civil rights statute. Now, critics of this indictment believe that Trump shouldn't have been charged with violating Section 241 because this law was passed during Reconstruction as a way to punish members of the Ku Klux Klan and other people from harassing black voters. And while it's true that this law was originally aimed...
And guess what? It still happens. It still happens. You know... I just got through watching Shameless with my girl, and one thing I could say about the show is that they covered so many topics, and one of the ones they covered was when, like, these kind of, like, pretty much it was the Milkovich family, right, which is a bunch of, like, racist white dudes, and they literally like this one character, this one protagonist of the show, or I guess he's technically the antagonist, Frank, the father of the show's family, right? He convinced them to stand outside the polls, and essentially they were intimidating people. So every time a white person would come through, they move out the way and go like that, you know, like usher them towards the direction of the fucking library so they could vote. But every time it was like someone with the fucking turban, or someone whose skin tone was slightly darker, someone who might have looked Hispanic, or someone who might have been black. They stood there nice and tall and firm with their fucking bat or their chains in their hand. And you know what, bro? That shit actually fucking happened, right? That shit actually happens. Now, I don't have firsthand accounts of this because I wasn't there and I wouldn't do this kind of shit. But I heard through the fucking grapevine that while the fucking 2020 election was going on, there's literally motherfuckers going around buying people's fucking ballots, like giving them like $100 for their ballot or $20 or whatever the fuck it was, and then literally voting for them. And I mean, listen, like, I understand if you don't feel like exercising your right to vote, but selling it, I'm pretty sure that's not legal. And offering to buy it, pretty sure that isn't legal. But that shit happened. And guess what? Those stories were about motherfuckers who were buying that shit so they could sign off for Trump winning. You get what I'm saying? Like, shit is fucking disgusting, bro. It's fucking gross. And then you want to be worried about election fraud, bro. That's the only case of fraud that I could imagine, is motherfuckers selling their vote to someone else and just signing off on the paper before they give them the ballot. Like, that's the only thing I could fucking imagine. You get what I'm saying? Like, that to me is abhorrent. Like, that shit is literally, like, that is disgusting. Like, so just understand that, like, when you're convincing everybody of some bullshit and like effectively convincing people of bullshit, there's gonna come a point in time where enough people will believe you and then will take matters into their own hands. You get what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, the percent of people who believe you out of 100 is gonna be less than that, right? And then whatever percent of that actually do something is gonna be even less. But you're talking about the motherfuckers, you know, you're talking about these guys who literally think like there goes the neighborhood every time someone of color moves in. You get what I'm saying? You're literally talking about individuals who okay, I'll put it to you like this. If you're a POC, you understand this. Being in a store where they stare at you the whole time, and it's not just like staring at you like cool, casual. No, it's staring at you like I wonder what the fuck they're gonna take. And like getting followed around the store, getting looks of like not belonging and things like that, bro. Like that shit happens, okay? And understand that that's how these fuckers look at you, bro. So if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, nah, bro, I'm good. Nah, I'm good. Like, not that serious, man. Like, that doesn't faze me, bro. I don't care if it phases you or not. It's fucking going on. And at the end of the day, if those motherfuckers had a chance to take you out, they would. They would. Let there be one night that the city breaks out into chaos and there happens to be riots. And let these motherfuckers be behind the riots and let you be out there in the street. Guess what, bro? They will stomp and trample your ass, bro. You will die. Like, don't get it twisted. If there's one group of individuals the white man loves, it's the fucking white man.
At stopping harassment of black voters after the Civil War, it is no.
And I'm not trying to demonize white people, bro, because understand that we would not be here today if it wasn't for the other half of white people who are like, no, we're all in this together. You get what I'm saying? But just the same way that there's like all types, bro. Every single race has this issue, right? Where like there's like a big chunk of them that is like, it's just us, defend together. And then there's like the other part that's like, no guys, like, you know, we all live on the fucking planet together. You don't think we could at least try to get along a little bit? You know what I'm saying? There's always gonna be those two sides. All right? The fucking purist and the fucking Quakers. You understand? Like that's the fucking, that's the split there.
Way limited to stopping white Confederates from intimidation and harassment. And the DOJ has used this law to prosecute conspiracies to prevent the proper counting of ballots in federal elections for more than 100 years. The DOJ has charged government officials under 241 when officials tried to stuff a ballot box,
no blood.
Forge ballots,
we're good.
Prevent the official count of ballots in primary elections.
Right there, stuff a ballot box. Oh, wait. Stuff a ballot box with forged ballots. Well, would that be kind of like, would that be the same as paying someone for their fucking ballot? Or you mean forged ballots as in like they made up their own and tried to trick them into believing that was a legitimate one? I don't know. We would have to look into what the word forged means in this definition.
Destroy voter registration
in this context.
Destroy ballots. Exploit the infirmities of elderly or handicapped people by casting absentee ballots in their names. Illegally register votes and cast absentee ballots in their names.
Okay. Illegally register voters and cast absentee ballots in their name. Yeah, that's kind of fucked. But like casting absentee ballots in other people's names when they're not yours.
Injure, threaten, or intimidate a voter in the exercise of their right to vote. Impersonate qualified voters.
That right there. That's exactly what it is. It's impersonating qualified voters. Because guess what? You're not that person. But you're signing off as if you're that person. You're submitting that vote as if you're that person voting. Illegal as fuck. I could tell you right now from what I heard in that 2020 election, like shortly thereafter, early 2021, I heard a lot of that shit was going on, right? From you know, someone I used to speak to, like they had a friend of theirs who was a lawyer who was like, yo, no, like this shit's going on, like so and so, like they've seen people going out there and like paying people for their fucking ballots, their absentees.
Fail to count votes and to alter votes counted, to steal votes by changing the votes cast by voters in voting machines, and the list goes on and on. Now, many of these alleged crimes will hinge on Trump's mental state. And we've covered this before. Did Trump have a specific intent to obstruct, impede, or influence the proceeding of Congress? Well, it's definitely possible. But since this indictment came down, there have been a lot of bad legal takes about what it actually means, especially with respect to Trump's mental state and what the prosecutors actually have to prove. Many journalists and even some lawyers have said that in order to convict Trump on these charges, prosecutors must prove that Trump knew that he lost the election. See, for example, this headline in the Washington Post, which says, the former president's intent and whether he knew he was lying about the election fraud are key issues for prosecutors. Now, this is a big misunderstanding about what prosecutors must prove about Trump's mental state. Now, look, this stuff is hard, but it's not that hard. Now, first of all, criminal prosecutors prove intent and internal mental states all the time. It's not impossible. It's not even that hard. You can do it using statements that the defendant said. You can prove it using surrounding circumstances. Or in the case of conspiracies, you can even use the statements of your co-conspirators. Because in a conspiracy, you're generally liable for the acts of your co-conspirators, and the statements of your co-conspirators are not hearsay.
That's some real gang shit, huh? That's some real gang. Conspiracies are real gang shit, huh? Because if one of y'all slips up, all of y'all fucked, huh?
And second of all, prosecutors have been using the statutes under which Trump has been charged against the January 6th protesters with great success. And Trump's potential defenses and issues about mental states have been raised and repeatedly rejected. He's not the first guy to claim that there was election fraud and thus his actions were excused. Now, to review, the DOJ says that Trump intentionally participated in 3 conspiracies that violate federal law. First, Trump is charged with violating Section 371 that makes it illegal to conspire to defraud or lie to the United States. The meaning of defraud is interfering or obstructing a lawful government function by deceit, craft, or trickery, or dishonest means. The indictment alleges facts showing that Trump used deceit and trickery and dishonest means to replace the legitimate electors with fake ones. And that's the reason for the heading on page 27, which says, quote, the defendant's attempt to leverage the Justice Department to use deceit to get state officials to replace legitimate electors and electoral votes with defendants. And what Trump believed about the 2020 election, and thus whether he lied or was mistaken, goes to the element of deceit in Section 371. And that's arguably one of the reasons why the indictment contains so much information about whether Trump lied or not. In addition, it also just provides color and explanation about his motive. And if he did not actually believe he won the 2020 election, he would almost certainly have violated Section 371's prohibition against defrauding the United States government, i.e. lying to the government. But the second conspiracy is that Trump and his co-conspirators obstructed the January 6th congressional proceeding where the election would be certified in violation of 2 sections of Section 1512. And someone else who was charged with this violation is January 6th defendant Alan Hostetter, who was charged with violating Section 1752C2 and 1512K, just like Trump was. He tried to raise a First Amendment defense that Trump will rely on, but a federal judge rejected this defense, explaining that, quote, Mr. Hostetter is not being prosecuted for engaging in protected First Amendment activity, and I am making my decision without regard to his political beliefs, which I believe he holds sincerely. Mr. Hostetter has a right to believe whatever he likes about the 2020 presidential election and to voice those opinions. But the First Amendment does not give anyone a right to obstruct or impede Congress by making it impossible for them to do their jobs safely.
And then, so first of all, like, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You can't disrupt Congress. You can't. And by the way, like, with good fucking reason, with great fucking reason, because you know what, like, the same way that you feel that, like, you took time from your God-given life to fucking show up and cast your opinion in the fucking ballot office is the same way that every other motherfucker took their time out of their God-given lives to show up and participate in this goddamn thing, right? And on top of that, what you're essentially saying is that the individuals who I put my faith in to uphold my rights and values, okay, in the government, you're not letting them do their job. And once again, taxpayer money. So not only did I spend time out of my life to appoint these individuals, to get them into the positions where they're making decisions that affect me on a day-to-day, right? You're ignoring the fact that I put them in that position, or I helped put them into that position. And then on top of that, you're not letting them do their job, which, by the way, is also costing me money. It's a double slap in the face. It's like you slap me with the front of your hand and you slap me with the back of it right after. It's a shit sandwich, wall to wall. And so first of all, go fuck yourself, because who are you to decide that those people who I have elected, or at least one of those individuals who I have elected to be there, or even if I didn't elect them, my fucking state, my fucking county, the people I live with, us as a whole, the community, even if we didn't agree on the guy or the girl, they're the ones who got fucking voted in. So as a community, these individuals are representing us. And then you're not letting them do their job? Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you, holier than thou, to fucking rain down as if your judgment means something? Shut the fuck up. And that's not even the worst of it. On top of that,
the judge ruled,
and it certainly does not give anyone a right to enter a restricted area while carrying a dangerous weapon. Bro, There's people, and I've seen this shit, bro, on fucking C-SPAN, right? C-SPAN is like the Congress channel, right? Where like every time they're in session, you can go ahead and check them out, right? Great source of information. If you think you're being lied to and you think the government's full of fucking, you know, blood-sucking vampire cabal, pizza, whatever the fuck, dude, go watch fucking C-SPAN all day. You know what? Guess what? It's fucking boring. It's not that fucking entertaining. But bro, if you really want to know what's going on, guess what? Everything the government does, except for things that are matters of national security, right? Things where like, guess what? The fucking nuke codes aren't going to be published on the fucking website. But everything else they do, every which way they vote, every fucking speech they give, every fucking document they have, all that shit is public information. You can go and look for it yourself, but the problem is you don't, because you're a lazy piece of shit. So what you prefer to do is take somebody else's fucking opinion instead of doing your own fucking research. And that's the fucking problem. You're too comfortable with listening to fucking Joe talk about shit he doesn't fucking know about. Or fucking John talk about shit he doesn't know about. Or fucking Sally give her opinion about some shit she never even fucking researched a day in her goddamn life. Who are you giving the power to? Who? The greatest liar. The greatest con man. Con woman. Whatever the fuck. You're giving your fucking God-given right to think for your fucking self, and you're tossing that to the side, and you're taking somebody else's word for it. Bitch, right here, nullius in verba. You know what that means? On the word of no man. On the word of no man. In other words, see for yourself. Instead of listening to fucking Johnny and Joey and Jimmy and Sally and fucking Sally and fucking Chauncey and whoever the fuck else. All right? Instead of listening to these fuckers, why don't you just for once in your life, dig and unearth the truth that exists. Just once in your fucking life, just dig and find the truth. Because guess what? You haven't been digging. You've never dug your whole fucking life. And yet you sat in class thinking that algebra's bullshit and that history's fucking boring and that language arts is for people who want fucking doctorate degrees and whatever the fuck. Not realizing that, guess what, motherfucker? The school system only trains you well enough to get you to be able to read what's on the fucking ballot. And by the way, sometimes that's even too complicated. When you have to Google what you should be voting for, when you have to Google, I'm Republican, which way do I vote? Or I'm a Democrat, which way do I vote? You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot.
That Hofstadter and his co-conspirator, quote, knowingly and intentionally entered into that agreement with the intent of furthering its unlawful goal of disrupting and impeding the Electoral College certification. And similarly, in Trump's situation, the government need only show that he intentionally took steps to obstruct the Electoral College certification. So, for example, when the government points to Trump's speech at the Ellipse, they don't have to prove that in his mind he knew everything he was saying was a lie. Instead, the speech is evidence that he wanted to encourage people to physically occupy the Capitol. And once those people were inside the Capitol and the certification was delayed, Trump and his co-conspirators continued to act in furtherance of their conspiracy by calling senators to further delay the vote.
Well, that happened. There's phone calls. There's, people have been subpoenaed for their fucking records. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny. When the Patriot Act got passed, everyone was so for it. And it wasn't until years later when people started to realize, oh shit, like with the whole Edward Snowden shit, it wasn't until way later that people realized that, oh damn, we just gave them the right to spy on us whenever the fuck they want. Yeah, we did. And by the way, that's scary. It is scary, 100%, to know that at any point Uncle Sam is listening to whatever the fuck you got to say. It's a little intimidating because you're like, why the fuck is the government listening to what I have to say? Granted, right? And like that's cool, but I could say that the good part about that is that, for one, like, you see those kinds of records and shit like that where like they can actually extract the fucking phone call or extract the messages and all that shit. I think that's one case where, like, you know what? Not so bad that we kind of gave away a little bit of that freedom, because you know what, is it for the greater good? I mean, overall, I don't really know the answer to that, but at least it's not just being used, I'm saying, it's not being used on like your fucking mom and dad who fucking work 9 to 5s and come home and hang out and like, you know, they do normal people shit. No, it's being used for people who are fucking causing a ruckus. It's used for people who make waves. And yeah, sometimes maybe it gets misused against individuals who really aren't doing anything wrong, but at least it's good to see evidence that it's also being used on the fucking dickheads, you know, on the dickheads as well. And I think that's great. I think to that extent, it makes me feel good that there's things in place that, how do you say, like, at least they're, how do I put this, bro? It's not a tool of oppression, is what I'm trying to say, right? It's actually a tool that gets used properly.
And Trump's subjective belief and motive might help explain those actions, but they're not necessary to prove the crime that he's alleged of. And the third conspiracy is that Trump allegedly interfered with the right to vote and to have one's vote counted in violation of Section 241. And that section requires that the defendant had an intent to deprive an individual of their rights and that the federal right violated was clearly delineated. And in a January 6th prosecution of Douglas Mackey, a jury instruction explained that the government had to prove, quote, that the defendant knowingly and intentionally joined the conspiracy with the intent to further a specific objective.
Yo, you saw him. You saw the defense, right? His defense was like, nah, bro, I was just shit posting. I was just throwing stuff on the internet. It wasn't serious, but like, dude, yeah, but like, you had how many thousands of followers? You know what I'm saying? And what exactly were you saying? And then also, like, what was your opinion on the situation, and what did you really think was going on?
And the Mackey jury instruction explains how a jury should assess the defendant's criminal intent within the context of this particular section. Quote, the indictment alleges that the objective of the charged conspiracy was to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate one or more persons in the free exercise and enjoyment of their right to vote.
Yo, wasn't this guy the dude who was like posting shit about like how it doesn't matter, votes don't matter, like you shouldn't vote, if you vote you're just adding to the problem. You get what I'm saying? Talking about how, like, you know, how bad the election's rigged even before the fucking vote was casted. I'm pretty sure if it wasn't him, there was someone. I'm pretty sure it was this guy, right? Who like was posting things and not just that, like making posts in a way that made it seem as if like the person behind the keyboard was like a POC. You get what I'm saying? And that like, oh, because I'm a person of color, then you should fucking believe in what I have to say because you're a person of color, right? So it was just like, it's like, you sick fuck, dude. Like, you sick piece of shit, dude. Like if that isn't the fucking epitome of modern day racism, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Short of being followed around the store, short of getting pulled over because your car doesn't look too hot and you're a person of color. You get what I'm saying? Like, short of all that shit, you get what I'm saying? Like, fuck, bro. Like acting as if you're a person of color to then gain the trust of those individuals, to then convince them to do something that to not exercise their rights. Bro, that's fucked, bro. That's fucked. You're playing on so many things there. Like, you are playing on like this thought that like it doesn't matter. You're playing on this idea that like, oh fuck, well, I mean, you know, I can convince you because you're stupid enough, right? And then not only are you stupid enough, but then now I'm gonna have you do that thing that like would obviously not lead to me having the result I want. That's just fucking wild. Yo, real quick, bro. Yo, Martin, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that, bro. God bless.
The government must therefore prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant knowingly and intentionally joined the conspiracy with the intent to further that objective. In this case, the government has alleged that the object of the conspiracy was specifically to injure one or more persons in the free exercise and enjoyment of their right to vote. I instruct you that the statute covers conduct intended to obstruct, hinder, prevent, frustrate, make difficult or impossible, or indirectly rather than directly assault free exercise of the right.
Once again, I'm pretty sure this is the guy who was posting that bullshit. I'm pretty sure this is the guy who was posting the like it's like picture, like, oh man, if I don't even know if this is one of those examples, but if I had to create an example just so you get the idea, like you ever seen that old man, like the old man meme where he's like, huh, he just has like cheesy face on, and like it's supposed to be like duh, like whatever you write over it's supposed to be like stupid, like duh, obviously. Like, imagine then putting like a black person there with like a duh face on, and then putting something like vote. Why would I do that? it's simple silly shit like that where like it's like you know what you're doing. You know what motifs you're playing on and shit. You get what I'm saying? Yo, Martin, thank you so much, bro. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How you doing? Everything good with you?
For example, hinder is defined as to make slow or difficult the progress of, to hamper, to hold back, to prevent, to check. And again, Trump's subjective belief about the overall election or election fraud isn't necessary or an element of the crime. So with the possible exception of the first count, Trump's subjective belief about the 2020 election is basically irrelevant. It's his intentionality about his actions that matter. Here's how elections lawyer Mark Elias explained it. Quote, I walk into a bank and I think they're wrongfully holding my money. I think my balance is $5,000 and they think my balance is $0. And I genuinely believe that I'm owed $5,000. That doesn't excuse me from robbing the bank. I can't pull out a gun and take the money. Particularly with the fake elector scheme, even if you believe that you won, you were not entitled to have people submit fake forms on January 6th.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that simple. It's just that simple. I mean, I think that's a great example. It's like you think this, you think that, you think what, you can think whatever the fuck you want, bro. But at the end of the day, that doesn't give you the right to go above the law and to take justice into your own hands, bro. Like, who are you? Who are you that is so fucking special? Fucking Batman, fucking Zorro. Like you are not him. You understand?
Now, the rioters unsuccessfully took down the U.S. Capitol, but you can successfully get your online data taken down with today's sponsor, Incogni. Now, I don't know about you, but I've seen a huge uptick in the amount of spam that I'm getting, and it's no surprise why. Every year, the number and scope of data breaches worldwide is rising, and you might not know it, but there are hundreds of data brokers that possess and sell your personal information, and their numbers grow every year.
I'm gonna let it play through.
Data brokers might have a whole shadow profile on you, including your name, your address, phone number, shopping habits, possibly even your social security number, all up for the highest bidder. At best, this leads to scam calls, and at worst, identity theft and doxing. But that's where Incogni comes in. Incogni fights on your behalf to remove your personal data from data brokers and deals with any objections from their side. All you have to do is create an account and give them approval to work on
and pay money
your behalf. Incogni conducts repeated ongoing removals because even if the data broker removes your data once, they can collect it again, which is just incredibly dumb. But Incogni makes sure that your personal information stays off the market for good. And you can actually see when Incogni does this on your personal dashboard. This is my personal dashboard that I paid for. It shows that these 3 sites had data on me that was rated 10 out of 10 on Incogni's sensitivity scale. These brokers had data including my contacts, financial data, and health data. Thankfully,
which is kind of fucking scary. It's kind of fucking scary when they have access to your health data because, I mean, like, even like in the States, we have like something called the HIPAA Act, which is like a protection. It's a fuck it, whatever. It's a protections act, right? And the idea is that your health information is private and it's only for you and your doctors, and that's it. And like nobody else is allowed to peer in on that information. Why is that important? I don't know, bro. Like, go fucking watch Black Mirror, maybe. You know, imagine you're trying to get insurance, right? The insurance company shouldn't have access to your fucking medical records, right? Like, you should be able to get fucking health insurance, right? And I understand there's things like pre-existing conditions and so on and so forth that you do have to come forward about, whatever the case is. But like, if you're just trying to sign up for like imagine if your job decided not to hire you because you have anxiety. Imagine if your job tried not to hire you because you know what I'm saying? You have a right to disclose this information. You have a right to choose whether or not they know. And if they're able to just fucking do a quick Google search on whatever fucking, you know, website they pay money for that fucking, you know, scavenges the internet for all this bullshit on you, then they could just choose not to hire you because of those things. And that's pretty fucked.
Incogni tells me when the removal requests are complete so I can breathe easy. Now, it's terrifying to see exactly how many brokers have my data, but it's really fun to watch Incogni get them to delete that info one by one. So if you'd like to give Incogni a try, click on the link below to get 60% off Incogni when you use the code LegalEagle.
I'm curious how much this costs. We're going to check it out.
Get an exclusive 60% off. Just click on the link that's on screen right now or down in the description and use code LegalEagle. After that, click on this box over here for more LegalEagle, or I'll see you in court.
That's weird. Oh wait, no, don't do that shit. Go back.
So the riots.
All right, I don't like when I don't like the automatic. I don't like how it automatically plays the next one. What the hell's going on here? What? Huh? Give me 1 sec. This shit fry. Huh. Why? I don't see anything. Hold up. What's going on here? I hear stuff, but I can't see anything. Hold up. Let me throw this back up. Okay, there we go. All right. Oh shit, he's barking. Yo, homie's barking like a big dog. Oh shit, we got a big dog in the house. That's a big dog. That's how he barking? Pussy-o. Pussy-o Ross Clot. Nigga move, nigga. Nigga move. Fool. Anyways. Alright. I'm done intimidating Frenchies. How much do you think this costs, bro? Annual plan $650 a month. Or you pay $13 a month. Honestly, you know what I would do with this shit? I do the monthly. Right? I do the monthly. Sign up for 1 month. Fucking clean that shit out. Turn it off. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe like 2 months down the road. Sign up for it again. And just rinse and repeat. Alright, let's read some comments on this shit. Trump being the Home Alone character with the most legal troubles is even weirder when you consider that franchise features 2 parents who committed serial child neglect. That is great. I love that. I'm absolutely devastated that Trump's actions have smeared the previously perfect record of such a group so integral to this country's soul. I am, of course, talking about the cast of Home Alone 2. Oh my God. Is that what people are getting on about? Yeah, I was wondering where that was going. It's also hilariously ironic that he actually changed the punishment for mishandling classified documents from a misdemeanor to a felony. Oh, Trump did that? Listen, I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, bro, that's hilarious. That's great. Like, he literally dug his own grave. Here we go. At 1416.
Critics of this indictment believe that Trump shouldn't have been charged with violating Section 241 because this law was passed during Reconstruction as a way to punish members of the Ku Klux Klan and other people from harassing black voters.
Uh-huh. All right. And then based off of that, you're saying has to be the most on-brand conservative defense I've ever heard. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, what else is on here? As an Australian, I find it amazing that primaries are covered by federal electoral law. America is such an entrenched two-party system that internal party processes are covered by electoral law. Yeah, I mean, I get, yeah, but here, I think you're missing one thing. The reason why primary elections, which are, a state thing, really, it's really a state thing. Why is that being covered by a federal thing? And I'll tell you why. It's because you have individuals who will show up and try to even ruin primaries because they want their guy more than they want their guy. You understand? And people will go to extraordinary lengths for the silliest and stupidest shit in this country. So that's why we need these fucking laws in place. And I get it. So many laws, so much red tape. You can get in trouble for anything. Not really, bro. No, not really. I think the more study you do, the more you recognize how most of these laws are pretty fucking necessary. Because if you don't have them, you literally create a fucking hole in the system where people are just gonna fucking bum rush it and fuck up the whole process for everybody else. Like, we need certain protections in these things. Let's see what people have to say. As long as guns and abortions are polarizing issues, America will continue to be a two-party system. I don't think that's the only thing we disagree on. As long as we have basic first, past the post voting system, we will have a two-party system. We need ranked choice voting, which would swing the door wide open for a multi-party system. Okay, you know what? I agree. There's so many countries. In fact, it's not even countries. We have counties and we have even states. Okay, that allow you to rank. So you say, this is my number one choice. If not them, then I'll go with them. And if not them, I'll go with them. And I think that works so well because at the end of the day, bro, like it's not just a winner and a loser. You understand? It's not just him or her or them or they. You get whatever the fuck you want to call it. You open up the doors to like variety, to nuance, to allowing individuals to really see who's ranking the highest. When you just say this person or that person, yes or no, you miss a lot of that intricate stuff. Like yeah, this person might have been number one, and across the board, maybe they got voted most for number one. But like on the other end, you have this other individual who was pretty much number one for a bunch, and then number two for pretty much everybody else. And those kind of ranking systems let you really see how people feel and think of the individuals they're putting up to vote. This yes or no bullshit. I mean, like, bro, don't get me wrong. Like you need yes and no's for certain things, right? Like, do you want to pass this bill? Do you want this thing to become law? Do you want to, I don't know, there's one here that was like, do you want to increase property taxes by like 0.5% in order to give teachers more money? You know what I'm saying? There's shit like that where it's just like, all right, yeah, cool, man. Like, you know, teachers need to get paid more. Teachers don't get paid shit. In fact, we have a shortage of teachers in Florida. It might be all over the U.S. I don't know if it's just Florida. But, like, it's things like that where, like, yes, you do need yes or no answers on your ballot. But I think you even more importantly, like that ranking system, I think that is the key for helping us really get away from red or blue. You get what I'm saying? From left or right, from you know what I'm saying? And also it creates a system where, you know what, it's not so much, oh, you're a conservative, why are you now voting for this very liberal thing? Or, oh, you're a liberal, why are you being very conservative about this thing? No, it allows you to understand that individuals, much like our fucking personal preferences, also have personal preferences and believe certain things as well that you may or may not agree with. I think we need a ranking system. And by the way, if you and enough people in your area, okay, get together and fucking petition this in your county, right? You can petition this on a county level. You can petition this on like a city level and even on a state level, right? If you get enough people to agree and to pass that shit, like, it'll become law. In fact, let me tell you a little secret about America that not too many people know. If you get enough people, period, to agree with you and to sign off on a paper that I want this, guess what? It becomes a fucking law. Like, you get enough people to vote on it and pass it through, it becomes fucking law. So just understand that, like, the power of the people is the ultimate power in the land of America, the land of the free and home of the fucking brave. You understand me? So, like, when it comes to our shit, we got our shit pretty well done. But it could be better. It can always be better. Let's see. Canada has 3 main parties and a lot of others that get into our house. And we have minority governments with whatever the fuck that is. But we don't elect our prime minister, just our house representatives. You see, that's bullshit. I would not, that to me is fucking weird. How do you not elect like the guy or the guy or girl, whatever. I say guy, by the way, is a general term. How do you not directly have a hand in the guy who's running things? Like, that to me is just ridiculous. Man, that being said, bro, man, what's my verdict? Well, I already thought this motherfucker was guilty. Like I said, I done watched this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even before it was a big deal. I just think it keeps getting better and better. I think that, to a certain degree, it's like, you know, where do you draw the line? You know, you keep getting fed bullshit and you keep getting fed more bullshit, and it's really up to you to decide when you're full of it.